Denied a 25-year-old Port Augusta man charged over a brazen daylight arson attack. And a study reveals sparrows in Broken Hill have evolved to avoid lead poisoning.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. A 25-year-old Port Augusta man has been charged over a brazen daylight arson attack which left people running for their lives. Garth Burley is at the scene, and Garth, fortunately everyone managed to escape the duplex just in time.
Yes, that's right, Abby. Firefighters raced to a duplex on Seaview Road just before 3 p.m. yesterday, with reports someone was trapped inside. Thankfully, when crews arrived, all occupants of the house were accounted for, and fireys were able to bring the blaze under control in under half an hour.
It looks like the fire might have started in the front lounge room.
MFS and CFS crews managed to prevent any further damage to nearby homes.
Thanks to the rapid response of those crews, we were able to contain the fire to that one house.
Crime scene investigators combed the area for clues after reports of an earlier dispute between two people in the home. Police blocked off roads and went door to door, appealing for any information about the alleged firebug. Shortly after 5:30, investigations led police to a 25-year-old Port Augusta man who was arrested and charged with arson and property damage. Police say they're still investigating the facts surrounding the incident, and the man was refused police bail. The total damage bill is estimated to be $120,000. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Garth. A new study has found house sparrows living in Broken Hill are adapting to avoid lead poisoning. Researchers from Macquarie University say the Silver City sparrow's genes are different to others around Australia.
Modern-day evolution in Broken Hill. About 4 years ago, Professor Simon Griffith and his team from Macquarie University visited 26 towns in eastern Australia. They're tasked to take blood samples from sparrows and study their genetic structure and the effect its location has on it. The results of the study have been released, with Broken Hill and Mount Isa showing an interesting find.
And what we found in those towns, which are obviously mining towns, where there is a history of heavy metal pollution, what we found is that the sparrows in those two cities or towns actually showed some signs of adaptive change to that pollution.
What it means is, over the 130 odd years sparrows have been in Broken Hill, they have evolved genes to handle lead pollution.
That there were 12 genes which had different frequencies in Mount Isa and Broken Hill. And we know that those genes have been linked to the transport of metal ions across cell membranes. So essentially, those genes are involved in the uptake of heavy metals by animal tissues.
The findings are the first evidence of animals adapting to lead contamination in heavily polluted areas across Australia, and it gives a good indicator of how exposed humans are in those areas to toxins as well.
What we would love to do over the next few years is come back out there and actually do some more study across town.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Fascinating stuff. The state government will double the travel allowance regional businesses receive for apprentices who undertake training in Adelaide. Local business leaders say it'll make taking in new apprentices more attractive to employers.
As new projects spring up across our region, the need for a skilled workforce has never been greater. Training is available locally, but apprentices still regularly have to travel to Adelaide and interstate for extra courses. An allowance has been available for a number of years, but has not kept up with the increasing cost.
The allowance for travel, interstate travel, hadn't changed for a couple of decades.
The accommodation and travel allowances will double. Businesses can now claim $60 for intrastate accommodation and $110 for interstate accommodation per night. And mileage for car travel will go from 24 cents per kilometre up to 30 cents. Mr. Pisoni says the moves will help make employing an apprentice a more attractive idea.
Making sure that those living in regional South Australia have the skills available for the workforce, that'll be a key part of revitalising the regions.
The announcement has been welcomed locally, while a Chamber of Commerce President Ron Hay says many businesses are wary of the cost of employing an apprentice. He says reducing the bill will make a difference.
And now that there's an additional provision of money for the employers, this will lessen that cost burden.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Port Augusta Council's Lee Herron has announced her retirement after serving in the organisation for 27 years. She previously worked for the state government and the Nerilda Nursing Home before landing a position with the council and moving up through the ranks. Lee thanked the staff for making her time in the office an enjoyable one. Good on you, Lee. The third and final stage of the Port Lincoln Leisure Centre redevelopment is finally set to get underway, with an Adelaide-based construction contractor to complete the $9.4 million project.
From this to this, the Port Lincoln City Council has finally announced the construction contractor for the final stage of its multi-million-dollar leisure centre stadium expansion.
The project has been awarded to Unique Urban Built, an Adelaide company.
With the contractor awarded the job due to its commitment to maximising the inclusion of local trades for the build. And as to what the community can expect, there'll be a new basketball court, a number of squash courts, disabled access in the entire building with a lift, an outdoor basketball half court, as well as an upgrade to the exterior and surrounds.
Look, at the end of this, the region will have a state-of-the-art, fantastic leisure centre precinct that'll serve us for the next 30 years.
But these redevelopments of the centre, which began in 2014, have come at a hefty price.
In the end, it will be a $14 or $15 million investment on council, 4 of that coming from the federal government, but about a third of the total spend coming from the Commonwealth.
Construction will get underway this week, with completion expected for June next year. However, it will be business as usual at the leisure centre here, including the summer basketball season, which will get underway in a few weeks' time. Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Looks good. Still to come tonight, a free community event in Whyalla to raise awareness about disabilities. And Port Pirie locals soak up the sun for a jam-packed day of activities at the annual Smelters Picnic. Welcome back. Police are renewing their appeal for information to help locate missing teenager Florence Gaston. The 16-year-old was last seen at her Port Pirie West home at about 3:30 p.m. on Monday the 17th of September. Florence was wearing a green hooded jacket, grey shorts and black shoes. Anyone who has information on her whereabouts is asked to contact the police assistance line on 131 444. South Australian business leaders have rubbed shoulders with locals at the Port Pirie Lions Club for the annual Regional Voice Workshop. Special guests, including the Small Business Commissioner, were present to hear about the most pressing regional issues.
Adelaide's business elite were in town to discuss the issues affecting the Mid-North small businesses, including electricity prices, cybersecurity, and labour skills availability.
It's really us responding to regional business concerns and sharing what we know about what concerns businesses as well.
Cybersecurity was big on the agenda, with talks being conducted about practical business processes and precautionary measures, which would help ensure the safety of local companies. Cybersecurity expert Greg Starkey shared his tips on how to avoid identity theft, fraud and phishing attacks.
It's very difficult for small medium enterprises in regional areas to find the qualified resourcing to support them.
Local business owners gained insight into the workings of Parliament from Independent Senator Tim Storer, who was eager to discuss exporting.
To listen to what people have to say about opportunities for their businesses. Particularly, I'm very interested in export opportunities.
Business SA will be hosting a follow-up event at Kadina later this week. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
Well, as the transition to the National Disability Insurance Scheme in SA nears completion, there are many candidates who haven't applied because the process is too complicated. But 2 Port Lincoln ladies want to fix that.
About 20,000 people are now benefiting from the NDIS in South Australia. However, many people in rural and regional communities have given up on trying to access it.
They just looked on the website, or they were given a lot of paperwork, and it was just too overwhelming, so they haven't actually gone ahead and accessed it.
Or others who don't know how to maximise their funding.
Lots of people access a plan or access funding, but then they don't really understand what they can do with it.
So Port Lincoln ladies Trisha and Rebecca teamed up to create Empowered, a registered NDIS provider to guide people and families through the complexities of planning and management, and more recently with support coordination.
Just looking at everyone's funding that they've received in their plan and how they can break it down over the whole year and really think outside the box and be creative with using their funding to improve their quality of life.
Helping families realise the wide range of local services available.
They can access specialist services like speech therapy, occupational therapy, it could be immersion therapy at the leisure centre, assistance with some, social and community participation.
Empowered is based in Port Lincoln, however, are doing fortnightly trips to Whyalla and will soon look to service the wider West Coast. Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, Civic Park in Whyalla will be transformed into the Ability Awareness Festival next month. The free community event is a great opportunity for those with a disability to connect with the support they need.
The NDIS has revolutionised the support available for those with a disability, but it's also made searching for a provider a minefield, with the local RDA fielding calls from residents struggling to navigate the complicated system.
It's been really difficult searching for providers, and I've had multiple people come to me saying they're looking for a certain service and they're not sure where to look or who provides what service.
To make the process simpler, Whyalla will host a special event that'll put service providers in the same space as those with a disability. The RDA will run an inaugural Ability Awareness Festival in Civic Park on the 27th and 28th of October.
25 providers at the moment that are on board. They'll all be here with interactive stalls on the day, doing some really engaging activities.
It'll also be a family day out, with food and a performance from former X Factor runner-up Taylor Henderson. Bronwyn says it's hoped the face-to-face meetings will allow people to find the support that suits their wants and needs.
Give people a chance to perhaps see some providers that are here that they weren't aware of, and to find some services that they may not even know that they need.
The RDA says there's still room for more stallholders. Details on how to get in touch are on our Facebook page. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Port Pirie locals soaked up the sun and enjoyed a fun-filled day out at the annual Smelters Picnic today. Memorial Drive was closed down as the festival spilled out onto the streets.
The Smelters Picnic is one of the most popular events on Port Pirie's annual calendar, and it's getting bigger and better every year.
The Smelters Picnic is an annual event we have here in Port Pirie. This is the 115th holding of the event.
With so many activities on offer, locals were in for a treat. Even one of the picnic favourites, Matthew, was back again to make his 4th appearance in front of the camera at the festival.
It's going to be a great day. I got here out just after 9 this morning, go and have a look at all the stalls, then probably go on some rides later on in the day.
Live music, rides and show bags were hot ticket items with the crowd, while the younger ones soaked up the bubble display.
Now today's weather has bucked the annual trend of torrential rains and has come out as a sunny day, giving picnic punters a reason to smile.
With the festival being such a success, locals are already counting down the days till next year's show. 2019 will be a bit more spread out, with Sideshow Alley returning to its home at the Sporting Precinct. Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll have Fuel Watch, and in the weather, after a summer-like day, we're in for a bit of a change. I'll have all the local weather details next. Hello again. Neighbours star Matt Wilson has been in the Broken Hill region shooting a pilot episode for a travel show. The Australian actor was spotted in Silverton this week with a small film crew. The iconic town is a very popular tourist destination at this time of year. Matt says there was no better place to come and film. He was also shooting a couple of scenes for future episodes of Neighbours. And now it's time for Fuel Watch. Here's Pat.
With school holidays right around the corner, petrol prices all over the Spencer Gulf and here in Broken Hill have spiked. Starting with unleaded, and it's not looking good at all. Port Lincoln is up by 3 cents and now sitting on $1.58. Whyalla has avoided the price spikes this week and continues to hover on $1.59. Port Augusta has hit $1.60, would be best to shop around there. Port Pirie and Kadina are into the 150s this week on $1.52 and $1.51 respectively. Here in Broken Hill, we've seen a big hike in our unleaded prices. Our average is up to $1.57 after climbing by 7 cents. It's a different story in Adelaide though, with city motorists seeing a big drop in their prices to around $1.49. Turning over to diesel now, Whyalla is the only one to see some green. The Steel City has seen a drop of about a cent. Elsewhere, it's pretty pricey. Port Lincoln and Kadina are both up to $1.55. Port Augusta is 2 cents dearer. Port Pirie is 1 cent cheaper. It's going from bad to worse here in Broken Hill. The diesel price is hitting $1.62. Even Adelaide couldn't avoid the red, going up to $1.53. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell unleaded or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Thanks, Pat, and time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Well, it certainly felt like summer today. Port Augusta reached a top of 30 degrees. 29 was the top in Whyalla, and it was a windy one in Port Lincoln. On the satellite, wispy cloud in the south. In onshore winds is not producing any rain. Clouds slowly streaming over the southwest within a trough could produce the odd shower, and skies are generally clear elsewhere. On the waters for your Thursday, southwesterly winds up to 15 knots, seas at 1.5 metres with a south-southwesterly swell. And we'll see temps drop down quite a bit tomorrow, but it will still be mostly fine. Port Augusta heading for a top of 23 degrees. The chance of some showers for Port Lincoln, 18 the top tomorrow. But it's a different story in Broken Hill, nothing but sunshine and 30 degrees. To the rest of the week now, and that patchy rain could hang around till Friday in Port Lincoln. Good news for our farmers. Finding up for Saturday, 16 the top and 18 the max for Sunday. The chance of some rain for Cleve and Woodner on Friday as well, before skies clear for a lovely sunny Sunday. And it's looking like a cloudy end to the week in Whyalla and Port Augusta. The chance of the odd shower for Kadina on Friday, but skies will clear and the mercury will rise into the 20s for some gorgeous conditions on Sunday. 25 the max for Port Augusta. And again, the chance of some patchy rain on Friday for Port Pirie and Clare. Temps dipping down for Friday in Broken Hill, 22 the top, but it's looking like a mostly sunny outlook for the weekend. 23 the max for Port Pirie on Sunday. So good to see some centres will get a bit of rain over the coming days. And that's all the local news this Wednesday. Thanks for your company. From the team, good night.